At the Academy Awards recently, Ryan Gosling gave a stunning performance of the theme song from the film Barbie, at least according to critics. They remarked that Ryan's pink tuxedo was reminiscent of Marilyn Monroe's famous Material Girl routine. Pretending to be a nice person is pretty easy because no one really knows what that is. Everybody thinks you're doing a pretty good job until they realize you're spoofing a spoof of Madonna spoofing Marilyn Monroe. The joke is really on you when you don't even realize it's a put on. Welcome. Welcome to Sunday Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. At Sunday Coffee Hour, we talk about everything and nothing. This Sunday, we talked about pink granite, daffodils, a new pot store on Michigan Avenue, and about selling your energy tax credits to a third party. The readings at Washington National Cathedral were from Exodus. Dishonor in this life is like a ticket to heaven. And from Ephesians, we're trying to get rid of the dark instead of living in the light. The gospel reading was from John. We're trying to burn down our neighbor's house to protect our own. At Washington National Cathedral, the sermon was by Jan Cope. She preached about returning to God and removing things that are holding us and separating us from each other and from God. Evil, darkness, and the Republicans. We don't need to ignore it, deny it, or get rid of it. We just need to stop fixating on it. Eternal life is a way of living, not a goal for the afterlife. Christ is giving us the gift of himself, not through his death, but through his living. Judgment and condemnation are the flip side of living in the light. Jan asked, what breaks our hearts? Not what makes you sad, angry, or depressed, but what breaks your heart. Pay attention to that because it's probably pointing to where you see the light in your world or where it's needed most. Go there instead of into the dark. Light isn't good or bad. It's both. Jumping a track takes a lot of work because in the pain, we might actually be called to do something. We live in a broken world, but we're trying really, really hard to fix all those cracks. But the cracks are what let the light in. Small things done in love can make a difference. Imagine what our world would look like if we did small things in love. God has given us a choice between life and death. It's our choice. Jan suggests we choose life. At St. James, the sermon was by Lisa. Lisa preached about how people worldwide know what's important to the Episcopal Church, and that it's a safe place. Not because they do good works, but because it's done in love. My Hindu friend tells me that dark spirits often tag along with the good ones. Sometimes the dark masquerades as the light. Often the most attractive places are inhabited by unattractive people. St. James is not an attractive place. Unattractive places are not always inhabited by attractive people, but at St. James, it is. Last week, Randy said the only hope for our world is our love given of our own free will. Conversely, they always told us at church that we needed to pledge so that they could plan, and that we needed to stop being who we are and be something else instead. Few of us have a plan, and most of us are too busy handling who we are to be something else. My Black friend Kimberly told me this week that she's tired of hearing white people complaining about being disrespected. She said Black people own disrespect because they're the original disrespected. And my Jewish friends tell me, suggest that I remind Kimberly that the Jews were slaves long before Black people. Planning and having a church program or governmental agency tell us what our gifts should be is being disrespected. But we're not being disrespected by it. God is, because he's the one that gave us free will. We don't have to do everything. We just need to do small things with love. Jesus was obviously putting us on. It says so in the Bible. He was a spoof of himself because he was both God and human. Bob and Ray were a popular comedy team in the 50s and 60s. They were famous for spoofing being a comedy team. It really points to the idea that we can't take anything too seriously. Diversity means we're all different, not that we all need to be the same thing in the name of diversity. We can't be less enough of ourselves to be all the same, even in the name of diversity. Traditionally, culture has accepted and presented diversity in art, literature, and society as simply part of being human. The idea of living in light is not about getting rid of the dark and reprogramming ourselves to embrace the dark in the process. It's easy to lose the providence of this thread. Studying the classics used to be Homer, the Odyssey, and the Iliad. Shakespeare often referenced the classics in his works. Today, studying Shakespeare is considered studying the classics. It's a providence of ideas that's always flowing, and we should be mindful of the providence. God is the ultimate providence we have in the world. The world can be an attractive and unattractive place, and it can be inhabited by both attractive and unattractive people. The trick isn't knowing which is which. The trick is knowing that there's a difference and that God is the only difference that matters. If you would like to join us at Sunday Coffee Hour is every Sunday at 12 noon Central Time on Zoom. I will include my email in the description of this video. I'll be happy to send you an invitation. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.